Good. That's good. So, hello. Okay, go on through. No problem. We're already started, so it's all good. It's just live. It's all good. So, Dr. Mark here at Natural Health. Hope you're enjoying the day. Starting the patient education workshop a little late, which is okay. Got patients to take care of, so we had fun doing that today. So tonight our topic is how to handle stress, fatigue that during the holidays. So we're going to go into that directly, get some handouts that will be in the comment section that you can look at there. Of course, this is going to be on Facebook and we're live on Instagram too. So we'll have that all going. You can look at that later again too if you like. We'll have it on YouTube and brighteon.com, kind of a new platform. Bright Eon is a platform that not very political like YouTube is sometimes, so it's a great place to go to for videos. We'll have that on that one too. Just as a little introduction for those who don't know me at all, Dr. Mark Hochschlag here at Natural Health in Quincy, Illinois. Been practicing now 37 years, going on 38 here in March. We do activator adjusting and all types of chiropractic adjusting, along with nutritional support that I've done the whole time. In the last year, since 2006, we've done a type of nutritional checking called nutrition response testing that we're going to talk about here later. And as far as a history of myself, born in Quincy, Illinois, grew up on a farm, had a lot of allergies, and got into chiropractic, going to chiropractors, and eventually nutrition to help with allergies and asthma, things like that. And so that helped a lot there. And it wasn't until, though, I got into the technique in 2006 that really helped clear up all this permanently. So some really good things there. But we'll, again, do that a little bit later. In the meantime, married, raised 4 sons who are have all been through football, so we dealt with a lot of sports injuries and things. Learned a lot there, and now 2 of my sons are with me in practice here. Dr. Chip is a chiropractor, and he's working on the chiropractic side of the office here. And Eddie, my other son, working on the energy coaching, doing some work there with the emotions and things. So we have 3 sides to our practice: the emotional side, the chiropractic side, and the nutritional side. So that encompasses most everybody's problems on an alternative type basis. So we'll talk more about some of that later too. So tonight's topic, again, how to handle stress and fatigue during the holidays. So the handouts, and we'll go into some of these are a little technical, but the handouts will be available, and I'll kind of gloss over just to give you the general overview. So there's 2 really important glands in the body that help the body to handle stress. The first one is the adrenal glands, and if you are adrenal wore out, if your adrenal glands are burnt out from all the stress of everything else during the rest of the year, well, when you come to the holidays, it's kind of the extra pain, the extra on top that causes people to get all this fatigue and even feel stressed out, depressed, that kind of thing during the holidays. So the important thing there is to realize it's not a psychological problem as much as it is a physiological problem. And so what that means is there's nutritional things you can do to help that. Now, there's a couple of things that you can do that will make it worse, and of course that's eating more refined sugar, candies, cookies, cakes, all that kind of stuff, which are, of course, all the holiday treats. And then alcohol, of course, is another type of sugar without any nutrition with it. So that's going to make this problem worse. So if you do those kind of things, there are rules we have at the office here that make that less of a problem for the body. And we can teach our patients that kind of thing. We do a lot of work with diet here. So even if you're watching us for stress handling, but want to work on weight, we have a really great weight program we work with on patients, not only to get them to reduce their weight, but to get them healthy. And we find that the patients actually get healthy, weight comes off all by itself. That's a whole another issue. But the adrenal glands produce your adrenaline for energy, your epinephrine, norepinephrine, there's several different words for it, but it's adrenaline, and your corticosteroids, so help inflammation. So just as a couple examples, some of the major symptoms from adrenal fatigue are you cannot tolerate stress, you have sleepiness after meals, you have dizziness from sitting to standing, extreme hunger between meals, and you eat whether you're hungry or not, and you crave salt. So while that's on here, I want to point out that salt is very important to the body. And we're talking about mineral salt here, or sea salt. Now, all the processed salt in processed foods, that's not good for you. But the body needs salt. And that's why it craves salt. Most people are on these, have heard about this, salt causes blood pressure thing, blah, blah, blah. And again, processed salt, yes, but not good sea salt or mineral salt. It has minerals with it. Body craves it because it wants the minerals. That's why it craves it. So anyway, that's a really important thing. And most people that come into my office have adrenal fatigue. Our adrenals are very tired, wore out. So we deal with a lot of nutrition for that, and a lot of B vitamins to help with the adrenals, and of course getting them off the refined flours and sugars, which are, it's easier said than done. Sugar is very addictive. We'll talk about that in a little while. The thyroid is another gland that is important for producing thyroxine and other hormones too that are a problem when they try to just put people on Synthroid. There's other things the thyroid does, so it's important, very important gland for many other things, immune system, brain function, heart rate, all kind of things it does. But a couple of the common symptoms with thyroid weakness are just feeling sluggish, unable to regulate body temperature, uniform weight gain, and depression. Again, it has to do with brain function and thyroid, big connection there. So if the thyroid is weak, you become depressed, just out of energy, depressed. So really important gland, and we do a lot of nutritional work to help that, not only to detoxify the gland, but also to help with strengthening the gland. Have a good evening. Okay. And there's a real good little joke here on this one. You probably can't see it at the bottom of the page here, but you can get the handout here. But it's right here, and it says, I'm cold, tired, swollen, and depressed, but the doctor said I have nothing to worry about because my TSH is normal. Yay. And she's jumping up there. Well, again, many people go to their MDs or wherever, or have a blood test, and the things are in normal range. So that's another big problem we have with these blood tests. You're all right. You can talk like that. The blood test is there's ranges. These ranges are built on averages of people, but every person is not average. So you may be in normal range, but you may have all types of symptoms because your body doesn't work in that range. So we help patients a lot with that, with getting them optimal for their body, not optimal for a medical test range. So that's a really important distinction there. Another handout we've got here, and this one becomes a little technical and very complicated. So it talks about serotonin, here the top hormone, and then dealing with dopamine. Serotonin is 80% made in the gut, 20% in the brain. Serotonin is your kind of happy hormone. Has a lot of good things it does. And this is all explained here. Dopamine is your pleasure one, and that is all in the brain. So anybody who has problems with an addiction usually has a dopamine problem, an imbalance, probably a better word to say. And then this is norepinephrine, which is epinephrine, adrenaline, noradrenaline, all the same words basically, all produced by the adrenal glands. We've talked about the adrenal glands already being weak from a stress of all your work and whatever, car payments, whatever, all that stuff. So if the adrenals are already weak, and then if you have gut issues, so if you're eating a lot of refined carbs, you have yeast overgrowth, we have all kind of problems with the probiotic issues there. So the serotonin is all messed up, and the body's running on dopamine. You're going to feel that pleasure or on the bottom side of that depressed feeling. Now, taking more medication that handles this. I mean, it can handle one part, but it's not your SSRIs, your antidepressant drugs, Prozac, Valium, all this stuff out there is medications, but you're not handling underlying causes. So again, we want to look at underlying causes, get the body healthy, not just work on the symptoms, but work on the underlying causes. So you have a healthy 2020, not a drug-induced 2020. So anyway, this is important in several reasons, because it not only looks at adrenals, but it also looks at the gut and the brain, and all these interactions here. Now, this is just these three. On that other page, we talked about cortisol. And that's another one that it gets in here. That's another circle in here. Plus, there's a whole bunch of other hormones. So again, if you're taking a medication to work on one brain chemical, you're going to off balance all the other brain chemicals, or all the other chemicals, or hormones, how you want to word it, in the body. And so how are you going to ever get the body to balance and work towards optimum health? So again, that's what we do at Natural Health here, is balance that out, either through the nutritional work, the chiropractic work, getting the nervous system to work correctly, which helps us to feed the brain energy, and the energy of the brain helps to feed the body, direct connections and relationships there, and our energy work to help with past emotional traumas and problems like that. So just a kind of a heads up thing here. Now, the last handout I have for this topic is the Natural Health and GAPS. Now, GAPS stands for Gastrointestinal and Type Psychological Syndrome. And I don't have other information here. You can look it up online. Dr. Natasha was a lady who had a damaged child who had to figure out a way to get her child doing better. So she did a lot of investigating into the gut and how getting the gut healed up by using bone broth, soups, and other things that we know about here at Natural Health gets the gut-brain connection working better, gets the mercury cleaned out of the brain, gets the toxins and things out of the body so the body can work better. But in relationship to the stress and handling during the holidays topic, again, watching what you eat during the holidays is so important to not having a bad 2020. As you can imagine, it starts on Halloween, and most people have a bucket load of candy, and they keep it around all month. Pretty soon you're into Thanksgiving. We call this the sugar season. It's really the holiday season, but we call it the sugar season because you're just getting more refined carbohydrates one after another, which again off balances the probiotics, usually causes yeast overgrowth in the gut. The toxins produced mess up this gut brain connection, and then people aren't feeling good during the holidays, and then develop sicknesses and the lack of vitamin D and sunshine, a whole bunch of things involved that we talk about here at Natural Health. So anyway, just important to know about that. You can look this up online. There's even some good books written, and she even has a good recipe book. But her main focus on this one was to help autistic kids there. So, but again, it goes right along with our topic of stress handling. So hopefully that gives you some good information on how to handle stress. Again, we just want to watch the diet, and of course exercise too helps to burn up some of these carbs in the body, helps to detox the body. That's important too. Don't just sit around and watch football games all for 2-3 weeks or months. Try to get up, move around, do some work, get some exercise and fresh air, and watch the diet and things like that. Again, that's easier said than done. If you don't feel good, it's hard to exercise. So we deal with that with patients. Sometimes it takes us 6 months to a year to get their diet straightened out, get this working in so they can get up, get moving, and do that. So that's not an uncommon thing. So anyway, hopefully that's good information that you like there. So now we'll kind of switch gears, run into what we do at the office. Since I've explained the problem, I would be remiss not to explain some of the ways that we help patients get over these issues. So we'll go into our high-tech presentation boards here. But first, a couple handouts that we'll go over. And if you come to one of our patient education workshops, we have a nice area here. We've handled, we handle 12, 20 patients or people here. And so no problem if you want to come in person to one of our education workshops. We really appreciate that. But you get a packet of these. And there's a whole bunch of good information here. So the first one we're looking at here is our myths and truths about nutrition. And so there's a lot of information out there on mainstream and the web that there's myths and truths. And by truths, we're talking about what actually does work in the human body. And the myths are, well, they might work, or it could be explained this way, or they're advertising, or they're just downright salesmanship and just basically lies. So there's a lot of things that we have examples here, and I'll go over a few of them. So our look at vegetarian, the myth here, vegetarianism is healthy. The truth is the annual all-cause death for vegetarian men is slightly more than the non-vegetarian men, and the all-cause death for vegetarian women is significantly more than that of non-vegetarian women. Now, don't get me wrong here. The vegetarian diet is a very good diet as a detox diet. If you're eating the standard American diet, the SAD diet of all the processed foods and fast foods and soda and junk like that, and you switch to vegetarian, you're going to be a lot healthier. You're going to do a lot better. You're going to detox. You're going to lose weight. You're going to do a lot better. The problem comes in then is that there are essential amino acids and essential fatty acids that the body has to have from the diet. And these come from, are very easily found in meats. So if you're doing vegetarian, you can be a successful vegetarian, but you have to know really well what you're doing. And it's very hard to be a successful vegetarian for longer than 2 years. That's usually about the time the body starts to get deficient in these essential amino acids and essential fatty acids. And the word essential means that it has to come from the diet. The body can't make those. You have to get it in the diet. So that's why after 2 years, we start noticing some of these statistics here. And women are more affected because they need more oils to produce the hormones for their bodies to work correctly. So that's why there's a difference in the sexes there. The one here, to avoid heart disease, we should use margarine instead of butter. And of course, this gets us into this cholesterol baloney. It's been going on for years and years. If you do any type of investigation at all, you'll find that this cholesterol thing, the cholesterol is not the cause of the problem. It's the overuse and abuse of refined sugar for years that causes the insulin to spike, which irritates the blood vessel lining, which the body uses cholesterol to plug up the holes, which that then is what causes trouble. It's the sugars that cause the cholesterol to be an issue. So if you get off of the sugars, you'll get away from this problem. Trying to handle cholesterol numbers by statin drugs is a terrible way of doing it. Because one thing, how does it work? Well, the liver makes all your cholesterol in the body, and the statin drugs stop the liver from making it. Why is the liver making it? The medics never asked that question. So we handle that problem here at Natural Health very easily. And we get people off of medications they don't need. Beef causes colon cancer. The truth is Argentina, with higher beef consumption, has lower rates of colon cancer than the U.S. Mormons. We have a lower rate of colon cancer than the vegetarian Seventh-day Adventists. So again, mankind has eaten beef forever, or animals or whatever. So our bodies are meant to do that. So it's not the beef or the meat that's the problem. It's the body's ability to digest it. Another big problem that people have when you're taking vitamins and minerals from whoever, whether it's from the store or from Aunt Millie or one of the companies out there, the multi-level marketing things, is digestion. Nobody ever looks at digestion. How is the body going to absorb all these products if it's not even digesting correctly? So important that we look at digestion as a means of handling these heavy foods. And that's why beef causes a problem, because if it's not digested correctly, it can rot in the bowel and cause problems. Again, but it's not the beef, it's not that, it's the body's digestive ability. So again, we look at the underlying causes of problems, not the symptom itself. So our health, what exactly is the problem? I'd like to read the first couple of paragraphs here. We have drifted into this deplorable position of national malnutrition quite inadvertently. It is a result of scientific research with the objective of finding the best ways to create foods that are non-perishable, that can be made by mass production methods in central factories and distributed so cheaply that they can sweep all local competition from the market. Then, after there develops a suspicion that these quote-unquote foods are inadequate to support life, modern advertising myths step into propaganda to people to believe there's nothing wrong with them, that they are the products of scientific, quote-unquote, scientific research intended to produce a food that is the last word in nutritive value, and the confused public is totally unable to arrive at any conclusion of fact and continues to blindly buy the rubbish that is killing them off years ahead of their time. This is written by Dr. Royal Lee. Dr. Lee was an inventor and also became a dentist to help clear up the cavity problem kids were having back in those days. This is around the 1930s, 40s. So he's the inventor of all the standard processed nutrition, or most all of the standard processed nutrition that we carry in our office. Whole food nutrition. He was looking at where can you find the best sources of vitamins and minerals, and that's how he developed this product line. But it's basically, we started this because of being a dentist and working on health problems that he had in his family. So it's very interesting, very smart guy. If you know about the Norton bomb site, he developed some of the parts of that. So he's a really smart guy. But anyway, that information is really interesting, a lot of history there too. So we'll go into our high-tech presentation board here, just to give you an idea, kind of in a graphical way, what's going on. The triangle is kind of a basic synergy of the human body, and we're looking at the three corners, which are nutritional deficiency, organ dysfunction, and disease, basically degenerative type diseases. So almost all the diseases we have are degenerative. So for instance, diabetes is a degeneration of the sugar handling systems of the body. Any of your cardiovascular issues, heart attacks, those kind of things, is degeneration of the cardiovascular system. Cancer, degeneration of the immune system, what's going on there. So most all degenerative type diseases. So the idea here is the more nutritional deficiency you have, the more organ dysfunction you have, and that leads to more disease and more nutritional deficiency, and it becomes a big negative spiral. It just gets bigger and bigger, and as all three sides get bigger and bigger, we have more and more problems. And so we want to stop that from getting bigger. We want to get it the other way, and we do that by working on the nutritional deficiency side. So in our handouts is your sugar quiz here, and we have our patients that are here, our visitors, take this exam, and it just gives them an idea of how much sugar they're actually getting every day. So I know this is a bad time of the year to think about this, but you should, because it's very important to realize what we're getting into, how much sugar we're getting. And we're really basically talking about refined sugar here, but some people can't even have just, even sugars from fruits and things too. So then the 146 reasons why sugar is ruining your health, basically just a list of all the degenerative type diseases. So it really goes right along with all that. Sugar's many disguises. So again, if I take this off and just put this right on top here, it works the same way. The more organ dysfunction you have, the more sugar you crave, because you're craving the minerals, kind of like craving the salt. Your body's craving these minerals, and the more sugar you eat, the more nutritional deficiency you have, the more organ dysfunction you have, and a big negative spiral. So again, we want to stop that by getting rid of refined sugar and working on the nutritional deficiency corner. So a couple more handouts. Sugar's many disguises. I think we're up to 61 or 2 different names for sugar, maybe more by now. But for instance, like agave nectar or agave, or thinks, well, that sounds like something really healthy. Well, no, it's still refined sugar. Honey, especially processed, still refined sugar. High fructose corn syrup, one of the worst kinds of sugar. High fructose there. Fructose is one of the harder ones to get rid of in the body, causes more problems. So a lot of things going on in there. And if you look at much of the processed foods, it'll have 3, 4, 5 of these different sugars in those. So and then they play a lot of games with sugar on the labels too. So the 3 tastes. The body has a taste for sugar, salt, and fats. And again, it needs the fats. Usually it comes with protein for the essential amino acids just to live. And the body developed these tastes because that's what it takes just to survive. The body can run on sugar. It's better to get its energy from fats, but it can run on sugars. And the salt, the body has to have salt for it to work. Now again, these people who are on low salt diets or no salt diets really have problems. And so it's really important to realize that the body needs the mineral salt, or not the processed salt, but mineral salt and sea salt. Really important to get that for the body functions to work correctly. We also have at the bottom of this page too, if you go on YouTube and search "Is sugar toxic?" ? It will bring up a 60 Minutes article that has a lot of this information in it. It's been 10 years ago, so it's still a good one, but from other disciplines. Now, the information I'm bringing you tonight, everybody knows this stuff. The medics know this stuff, and that's what this 60 Minutes article is looking at, other disciplines and how they have addressed this. Also, one of the MD that they're talking to, Dr. Robert Lustig, has his own YouTube channel with a lot more information about sugar and a lot more depth, even the biochemistry. He's teaching at medical colleges and things like that. So the people know this, but it just doesn't make any money. So unfortunately, it doesn't get any press that way. But we're just seeing that it's so important people know this stuff because they're suffering, not only physically, but even emotionally and financially. The crushing debt of medical expenses, it's awful. So just things we can do to change the paradigm in this country and get us looking at more causes and health rather than disease management, which is what's going on now. So we'll go to our next high-tech presentation board here. So the technique that we're using to figure out what people's problems are is called nutrition response testing. And so over the years, we've done blood testing, urinalysis, hair analysis, salivary testing, and these tests are great for disease process, but they don't give us a very good understanding of what nutritional needs a person has. So we found that using the nutrition response testing technique helps us to figure that out very quickly. Every time a person comes in, we can do a test very inexpensively. It's very accurate, highly sensitive, and we can monitor a patient's progress with that. So I'm going to have my son, Dr. Chip, come up, and we'll demonstrate how this works. Now, in nutrition response testing, we use an arm strength test to determine what's going on in there. So if we check the arm strength, normally when we test it, it's just nice and strong, and the arm is good shape there. So the process or the reason why nutrition response testing works is it's based on the principle of hypothermia. And hypothermia has to do with, or for instance, say you're going to go out and go ice skating, and you go out, you're skating, and you fall in the lake, and you get back out. Well, you don't want to freeze to death, so you try to get back. Well, the body instinctively knows that it wants to keep the core alive. It has to keep the heart and the organs and everything alive. So it wants to pull blood and energy into the core, and will sacrifice the fingers and toes and appendages to keep the core alive. And we use this principle when we're checking our organs nutrition response testing. So when we do the test, where the arm is strong, so for instance, say the heart is weak, and I irritate the area above the heart. If the arm goes down, if it goes unlocked, then I know that there's a weakness in that heart. Now, I know that the standard process product Cardio Plus is nutrition that helps the heart. And the energy of this nutrition, everything in nature has an energy. It's like the sun coming through a window. Same type of energy that's used in an MRI study. It's the energy of the body, how the body works. And so if I use that energy and interact it with the body's energy, and if I test it again, put that on the heart or on the body, and irritate that heart area, if the arm goes strong, then I know that this nutrition will help that problem. It's just a very simple, easy way of doing that. Very inexpensive, very easy to do. We can do it in real time when a patient comes in, and do it every time they come in, rather than an expensive test that costs thousands and thousands of dollars. It don't really give you the information you need for. Thank you very much. Good job. Great. So, good. So we use nutrition response testing to determine what type of nutritional needs patients have, and then we design a clinical nutrition approach for that person. So that means designed personally, or just for that person. That's very individual. Everybody has individual needs based on their stress levels, their genetics, and what diet they've had forever. And so we have to design things just for that person. Clinical means that it works. We don't care what it is, as long as it works, as long as it's getting anybody healthy. People bring in bags of vitamins and things they bought over time, and we test it. If it's testing positive for that patient, it's strong for them, we use it. And if it works for them, great. If not, we don't use that. So we actually save people tons of money by getting them to cut back on a lot of the stuff they bought and they're buying that aren't working, and just work on a little bit of stuff that actually works. So we do a lot with that too. And in nutrition, we're talking about whole food nutrition here, not synthetic vitamins, not just junk, coal tar, synthetic stuff. We're talking about real food. And the importance of real food is it has all the cofactors and co-minerals and coenzymes in it for the body to use it correctly, rather than trying to just use D3 for D3 on a blood test. That's not nutrition, that's just a vitamin. And there's other Ds. Why don't they have the other Ds? And why don't you get it from a food source? And you have to be able to digest it in the first place and absorb it. So, and still have to have sunshine. So again, trying to monitor one vitamin level is not really a nutritional approach. So we have some more handouts. This one is what patients are saying. These are some testimonials from patients. They're interesting to look at, and we have copies of those available. So more information, another handout on nutrition response testing, kind of in a written form for more information there. We do have some tests that we have gotten from patients. This one is on a patient who had splenomegaly, and I picked it up because it's an unusual, you never really hear of splenomegaly, and so, which just means that the spleen was enlarged. So if that goes on, the medics normally take it out or do something, and so we just use the nutritional approach, and the other side of it is that the splenomegaly was gone, just by changing diet and using some nutritional support. This is a blood test on the vitamin D levels. And so we got that to improve, and we didn't even give them vitamin D. We just got their bodies to work correctly and digest correctly. The bottom of the page is the A1C, and we got that to come down to 6.6 from an 8.0, headed to 5.7, of course. But again, just changing diet, getting on nutritional supplements. So of course, this person is diabetic or pre-diabetic, whichever way you want to look at it. Just getting them away from that, getting them off the sugars, getting their body to heal up. If you come to one of our patient education workshops, we have a public education workshop screening form here that you can fill out, and that allows you to get a free screening to find out if we can help. Now, the idea with this is that if you are a nutritional patient, there's really nothing else that can help you other than nutrition. But if you're not a nutritional patient, we can't help you. So we don't have very many patients who are not, but some people are in really bad medical shape, and they're kind of beyond the ability of the nutrition to work. And we want to get this information out to as many people as possible because we want to keep that from happening. Get to the point where people are in such bad shape that, I mean, you just can't help them. But we want to try to avoid that. We want to try to avoid these diseases, and it's not get diabetes. Not try to wait till you get it and then treat it. You know, that's a terrible way of working on things. It's like waiting till the engine blows up in your car and putting a new one in. You should have been working on checking the oil light or oil pressure. So that's what we're doing here. We're checking the oil pressure. We're working on the lights. We're getting things to work before, get the body healthy, before it becomes a disease process or a big mechanics bill. So our last high-tech presentation board here. When patients come into our office, they usually have major complaints, and we basically track 5 of their major complaints, which are their symptoms. But we're really working towards overall health. And we found that if we look at the underlying cause of problems, then the symptoms all go away. The patient becomes healthy. Again, the symptoms go away, weight comes off, and we work with their diet to get them into a lifestyle change, long-term weight loss and long-term health and optimum health, not just getting by without symptoms. That's not always healthy. We want the body to be healthy, to live a long life. We know that we're mortal. We know that we're going to die, but we want to live to the end healthy, not just 20 years in a nursing home thing. That's not good for anybody. And then the other thing we're doing here is safe and natural. No medication here. We're just doing food. We're just using foods, herbs and foods and things like that to help heal the body naturally, so the body can grow itself anew, anti-aging. It's a big part of what we do here. We actually have our heart rate variability unit to measure that change in age, physiological age. So some more handouts. We have a book list here. There's some books available. On a list of websites, a lot of good information here. The WestonAPrice.org website is a very good website with a lot of organic information, organic growing, organic eating, lots of good stuff there, and there's many other websites there available. Then there's a list of videos. These are on Netflix and YouTube. Pottinger's Cat is a genetic study on cats. Smoking teeth, poison gas, to do with mercury, fillings, Supersize Me, the food chain problems there, mercury in the cover, just all kind of things there that you can look at in video form. Since we are a chiropractic office, we do have our basis in spinal nerve health and hygiene and keeping the nervous system working correctly, because the nerves control every cell in the body, directly or indirectly. So it's important that these avenues stay healthy. So how many people do you know, well, that don't go to chiropractors and don't have back pain, but pretty soon they have a disc that goes out? Well, the problem is there. They just didn't do good spinal hygiene. People spend thousands of dollars on their teeth, brushing their teeth twice a day, but they need to do a little bit of spinal hygiene, a spinal corrective care, and not that you have to have pain to get adjusted, But chiropractors also help it keeping the body well by keeping the nervous system working correctly. And in this little graph too, we also have the nutritional supplements that go along with the organs that are interfered with when the nervous system is not working correctly. So people don't look at that either. That chiropractors do a lot more than neck and back pain. And there's also a lot of emotional problems people have that are draining them of energy, and Eddie does a lot of work with that, with the Reiki work and energy coaching and life coaching. We're working on that too, to kind of just help answer the questions out there and help get people on track with that. So our basic diet recommendations, again, a couple of good books to get a hold of. Protein Power, written by Mary and Dan Eads, has a lot of information about what we're talking about here. Life Without Bread, Schwartzbein Principle, The Zone. There's just a whole bunch of these books that have been around forever that talk about this information. And again, it's been out forever, but just mainstream is not working on it. They're into the drug mode. That's fine. You need medications for certain things, but not for long-term health. Medications are not for long-term. They're not nutrition. They're actually drugs. Some of them are really strong and override the body's normal ability to work itself. Our basic rules we have patients follow, of course, you probably figured that out by now, staying away from refined flour and sugar. We try not to eat our proteins and fats at the same time as carbs and starches because they don't digest well, and it throws the insulin into a higher level when you eat those two things together, so we try to keep those separate. And then our basic food program is just having patients eat proteins in the morning, salads for lunch, and a protein vegetable for evening. Very basic. We don't count carbs. We don't count amounts. We just look at it this way and then see how the body handles it, because again, everybody's body is different. And we try to make it as simple as possible for our patients. Last sentence I like to read here, it's pretty interesting. Many of our eating habits have been trained into us for generations. For example, Grandma was a great baker, good baker. Mom was a great baker. So every Christmas we eat 10 pounds of fudge, somehow catch the flu in January, and have a history of diabetes and heart disease in our family. So the idea here is that we hear so much about genetics being the cause of problems. Well, your genes are not the cause. Your genes are a blueprint. It's your environment. It's the foods you eat. It's the stress you're under. It's your environment that is what turns the genes on and off. So that's a good way of looking at this is we have the blueprint to build a house. So if you have the blueprint there, the same blueprint, you buy really good building materials, good boards without knots and warps and things, splits, and you buy shingles that are really good, nails that are straight. Build the house with those good building materials. You're going to have a great house that will last forever, and your roof won't leak. But if you buy bad boards that are all cracked and split and knot holes, and shingles that have holes in them, nails that are bent and rusty, build that house. It's not going to last. It's going to blow over. It's going to have a leaky roof. And so that's the same thing. It's the environment. It's what the body's used in building itself with, using a blueprint. And we're finding too that these genetic blueprints are variable too. They can adapt to certain things. So if you treat them badly, you get a bad turnout. If you treat them good, then you get the genes will get better and better. Genes can change, and that's some of the information we have available in different videos too to look at. So I think that's most of the things for tonight. Hopefully you got some information here you hadn't heard before, or maybe explained a way that you haven't heard. We do these again every Monday night now at 6 o'clock, and we're putting them on Facebook, our Instagram, and we'll also have them again posted on YouTube, hopefully in a way you can get to them. Natural Health Quincy is our web page and our call sign for all of these venues for Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Brighteon.com. So Natural Health Quincy. We're having a little trouble with YouTube, but hopefully that'll get straightened out. And if you have any questions, you always give us a call here at the office. Please give us a thumbs up or a heart, love us, like us. If you want to subscribe to our channels, we'd love to hear from you. And any comments or questions you have, you can put in the comment section. Or you can always call us here or just drop by and say hello. I think that's mainly all of it. Or also, if you'd like to have a free screening, if you remember the word clover leaf, it's just clover leaf, and tell the girl or assistants when you come in that you was watching the video, you heard that word, we'll still do the free initial screening that we talked about there earlier. Because we really want to give people the opportunity to see what we do. And again, if you're interested, that's fine. If not, that's fine too. but most people find that it's very interesting, and we can help almost any type of condition out there. So we'd love to help you, love you to have a great life and be healthy and vital. And so with that, I think we're done. Have a great evening and take care.